Thanks for tuning. Rivalries renewed as the top two from last season meet in the Championship for the first time.
Going to break it to Freddie Ladapo inside the penalty area. Scar is there. Ladapo cross him in. And Ipswich take the lead.
It was a battle right to the end last season, wasn't it? With both sides ultimately getting promotion. It was Argyle, of course, that won the title. But today is the first time in 13 years that Argyle and Ipswich will have met in the second tier. Hello, good afternoon. You're watching Argyle TV as the Pilgrims make the long journey up to East Anglia to take on a high-flying Ipswich Town side. A game that you can follow live here on Argyle TV throughout the afternoon. You can buy your match passes from our website wherever you are in the world, depending on where you are. It depends on whether you listen or watch, but all the information can be found online. But it is a second time in as many days in the same week that Argyle will have taken on one of their promotion rivals from last season. They managed to get past Sheffield Wednesday on Wednesday night. Today, it is Ipswich Town, and they are flying at the start of this season. Second in the table, breaking records for the amount of points picked up by a promoted side, and have a cushion already to third-placed Leeds United, and have a game in hand. A tough task then for Argyle, if they're to do what they did last season and take points off their Suffolk opponents. Well, as you can see, joining me this afternoon is the former Argyle forward, Ian Stonebridge. And it is a very intriguing game this afternoon. It will be a real tough one for Argyle, won't it?
Yeah, it will. It does sound quite formidable when you reel off kind of the start they've had to this season. But I think Argyle need to put that out of their minds. You know, they had some previous excellent performances against Ipswich, in the battles they had last year. So I think that it's perhaps those memories they need to cling on to rather than any kind of trepidation about the Ipswich's start to this season.
I'm just going to add to that, though. Because Ipswich Town at Portman Road have been incredible too. They have lost once this season. That was a 4-3 humdinger against Leeds. But in the 17 games since Argyle's 1-1 draw there, which we saw in the intro, Ipswich have scored twice, at least, in every single game since. So they not only are picking up points, but they are scoring goals at home as well.
Yeah, they are. But as we said, Argyle have proven in recent seasons that they can go to places like Ipswich, perhaps, on a day where there's a benefit to being slight underdogs. Despite Argyle doing well against them last year, I think given the start Ipswich have had, clearly they'd be favourites for today's game, and as you say, their record at Portman Road. But yeah, I think Argyle can take heart from their recent performances and hopefully put on a positive showing this afternoon.
Well, it was a late Barley Mumba goal that day. Is he in the starting lineup this afternoon? Let's have a look at the Argyle side to take on Ipswich Town, and a sunny-looking Portman Road you can see there. Very, very different to what we're experiencing down here in Devon at the moment. As you can see, Barley Mumba is in the side. Just 3 changes made by Stephen Schumacher for this afternoon's game. That sees the captain drop out, Joe Edwards, along with Jordan Houghton, who'd started all but 1 game before today, and Mustafa Bundu. So Mikael Miller, Luke Cundle and Ryan Hardy come in to replace those 3. It's the 3rd successive start as well for Michael Cooper, who's looking for a 3rd straight clean sheet. But Bundu, he was given his first start on Wednesday night, Ian. He couldn't have done much more by scoring, getting the opening goal, but Ryan Hardy also showing that he didn't let it affect him coming on and scoring, and he back in the side as he probably would have expected today.
Yeah, I think so. I think Bundu obviously getting his goal, that was absolutely fantastic. What a moment, and the style that he did it in as well. Incredible, great for his confidence. But also, as we talked about, I think in the commentary on Wednesday, the benefit of Ryan Hardy coming on and getting his goal could be crucial today. I think thinking about the style that they might have to adopt, against a formidable Ipswich side today, it's that counter-attacking response that might be really key to Argyle getting something from today's game. So you can perhaps understand, Ryan Hardy's pace in combination with Argyle's other forwards can be a real weapon. So they'll be looking to use that today.
We'll hear from Adam Randall a little bit later on in the show. We sat down with him ahead of today's game to talk about how he's sort of settling into life in the Championship. But he's going to be playing a slightly different role today than what he has been doing a lot this season. He's going to be playing that Jordan Houghton role, as I like to call it, because he's been so good in there this season. But are you surprised that Jordan isn't starting today, considering how well he has been playing of late?
I think that there might be other reasons behind it. So it might be that there's some fitness data that they're relying on that suggests that he needs a slight rest. Equally, I think the manager's well documented in saying that Luke Cundle's been doing so well when he's come on that he deserves that start. And I thought Adam was really, as well as perhaps his quality on the ball, he was really combative on Wednesday and showed that he's dealing with that physicality of the Championship, so far with no problems at all, competing in tackles, winning headers, drawing fouls. I think he's been excellent on that front, as well as his ability on the ball. So, I think we've got every confidence that Adam can step into that role and put on a really good show. But certainly, Jordan Houghton this season has been exemplary in that role so far.
And just very quickly on Luke Cundle as well. He has stepped up when he's played. He's got 4 goals, I think only 4 league starts. I mentioned in commentary on Wednesday, nearly always comes on and scores when he does. But, he can maybe count himself a little bit unlucky because of the form of the other players in that sort of midfield 3, that he hasn't seen more starts, hasn't seen more game time.
Absolutely, and it's those problems that I think are great for the manager to have, where you're having to leave players out who you'd actually really want to start the game. So we talked about maybe getting to a situation where, in terms of Bundu and Hardy, that you've got to pick between them because they're both in such rich veins of form. Equally in midfield, Finn Azaz, I thought, had a good game on Wednesday night as well. Was really creative going forward. So again, it puts the onus on the players to make sure they're consistent in their performances, and the team benefits from that as a whole.
Well, let's have a look at the Ipswich Town side then. I mentioned their form at the start of this season. They've only failed to win in 2 of their matches so far. They got a 1-0 win at Bristol City on Tuesday night, and Kieran McKenna has made a couple of changes to that side, one of them in force with George Edmondson coming in at the back to replace Cameron Burgess. And the other one sees Omari Hutchinson, exciting young forward, come in for Caden Jackson, who drops to the bench. Now, it's interesting looking through their side in, because a lot of those names will be familiar to Argyle fans from the League One campaign last time around. If you look at the starting 11 anyway, it's only Omari Hutchinson and Brandon Williams that have come in and kind of forced a starting position. A lot of their other summer signings haven't been able to dislodge the players that got nearly 100 points last season in League One.
Sure, I think first of all that says something about the standard in League One last year, perhaps. You know, and you think about that kind of great run-in and the competition that Argyle were facing from the other teams at that level. You know, big clubs, big budgets that were able to, you know, assemble squads that, you know, they obviously all expected would get them out of that division. It didn't happen for everyone, but obviously Argyle and Ipswich now find themselves in this league, and there's a lot to be said for that settled approach and the benefit that you can have in terms of consistency, of tactical understanding, and the team spirit. You know, it's then down to those players that are coming in, the new signings, to dislodge them and make themselves, you know, make the manager pick them, if you like. So Ipswich benefiting from that settled nature of the squad, if you like.
Yeah, and that is definitely something that you hear other coaches say a lot of the time is, you know, they were so successful last season, they've kept the bulk of their players. Managers obviously still the same, and they've just continued. But are you surprised at how well they have done this year, maybe?
I think when you look at the other clubs in this league now, you know, clearly the Championship always has some massive clubs with huge resources in it, but perhaps the surprise is maybe, yes, it's how well Ipswich have done, but also maybe that they find themselves in second is the bigger surprise. So I don't think there's a huge, you know, that it's a surprise to everyone that they've, you know, hit the ground running and that they've got that squad's team spirit. Kieran McKenna, you know, really highly thought of coach, that's been with this team now for a little while and is able to put his mark on the squad and on their approach to the game. So no real surprise on that front, but perhaps it's more the fact that they find themselves ahead of some of those bigger clubs, you know, even those that have come down from the Premiership at this stage.
Yeah, we mentioned their free scoring nature. I think it's something like 58 goals in those 17 matches at home since the 1-1 draw. And if you look at the players that they've got up there, the firepower, George Hurst was so instrumental for them at the back end of last season, scoring really important goals. He signed permanently in the summer. And Nathan Broadhead, who's had a few injury problems this season, but scored in his last 3 in the league, scored for Wales as well during the international break. That's going to be, well, he is clearly one that Argyle are going to have to look out for.
Yeah, they are. And I think as a squad, they're obviously Ipswich benefiting from that multi-pronged threat, if you like. So any one of those forward players, you know, we didn't mention Connor Chaplin there, who had a hatful last year as well. So, but yeah, certainly Nathan Broadhead seems to be the one in form at the moment, and you know he's got that, if you like, the history. He's got calibre coming from Everton originally. He spent time obviously at Sunderland and then Ipswich last year. So, you know, he's an exciting, still a young player, and he's clearly gonna potentially pose a few problems for Argyle today.
Yeah, Connor Chaplin, just a small matter of 20 plus goals and League One Player of the Year last year, exactly. Not too tough for Argyle then. But on the flip side, Argyle are coming into this in some pretty decent form. They got a good point a week ago against West Brom and backed that up at Home Park on Wednesday night.
But Argyle do deal with it, clear. And now Bundu with a chance to run and get away from Diaby. Lovely little flick. Izaz marauding forward. He's got Randall on the outside. Whittaker infield. Gets it now more than Whittaker. Oh, and it just misses the outside of the post and goes behind. That's a nice pass to free Mustafa, who again will run at Kesler Hayden. 3 Wednesday shirts in the middle. Ball is pulled back towards one of them in Gregory. And he just couldn't divert his effort on target. Well, Whittaker and Bundu are stood over it. It's going to be Mustafa Bundu. Over the wall and in!
But it's great to see him confidently step up to that free kick. You know, Morgan Whittaker was over the ball as well, but it seemed there was no way.
Oh, mistake at the back from Wednesday. Whittaker is in. Whittaker has scored. Argyle double their lead. Now Mumba on the left. Lots of green shirts in the middle. Kesler Hayden is one of them. Can he pick out another? The shot comes in. It's cleared off the line. Remarkable. The ball had beaten Dawson. He's got pace. Gets beyond Kesler Hayden. Mumba tries to get back as well. Got something to the cross. Cooper comes to punch. Bannon across to Windass. Can he get a shot away? Yes, but it's saved. And saved well by Cooper down low. Kesler Hayden read that one in the air well. Bundu then lays it off nicely to Izaz. Sits up for the strike from Izaz. Has a habit of coming on and scoring, Luke Cundall. Got 3 goals this season. All of them have been in the second halves of matches. Well, apart from the one against Swansea, actually. Here is Izaz, tricks one way than the other. Gassama close to him. Cundall back to Izaz. He gets a shot away. Oh, it's a good save from Dawson.
you know, limiting the clear-cut chances is a really key thing, and Argyle have capitalised on that.
And they've done this very well. Finn Azaz pinching it. Ryan Hardy in on goal. Ends his doubt and probably ends the game.
Yeah, it was an impressive win, that, Ian, wasn't it? And we were just talking there, looking at the highlights from that match, it kind of doesn't tell the full story of it, because all the chances seemed to fall for Argyle, but it was more of a ground out performance that then was flourished and kind of cherried on top by the goals that were scored.
Yeah, it was. That the first half wasn't particularly comfortable from what I remember, and certainly there was a point in that first half, I think Josh Windas's shot that was blocked by Lee Gregory, which was heading in the bottom corner, and at that stage Wednesday were in the ascendancy, dominating possession really and territory, and if that had gone in, we're probably looking at a very different game. But those two quick goals just before half time obviously changed the complexion of the game completely, and Argyle were able to, I think, you know, capitalise on perhaps the kind of psychological impact of Wednesday playing well, but then finding themselves 2 goals down, and the second half was slightly more comfortable, obviously.
A theme in the kind of post-match debrief with the press was about trying to now string a couple of results together for Argyle, and it was obviously evident last season a lot when they got on a run. They went on big winning runs, and I suppose that's the trick again, isn't it? Because the championship is so concertinaed, it's so tight, with the top 2 kind of pulling away and the bottom 3 becoming a bit adrift. But everybody else, I think if Argyle win and results go their way, they could be in the top half at the end of today.
It's crazy. I think the biggest point, first of all, was, you know, before Wednesday night, we're looking at perhaps the teams below us and worrying slightly. Actually, if this goes the wrong way, we can find ourselves in a bit of bother. But, you know, that positive result then now means we can start to perhaps look at the teams above us rather than below us, and maybe think, if we can get that run together. And, you know, there's no reason why not. I think there's been plenty of performances this season where Argyle have perhaps not quite got what they deserved. Wednesday was a good example of something where maybe they didn't necessarily deserve to win 3-0, but they found themselves doing that, which is obviously a great habit to get into. And if they can, as you say, keep grinding out results like that, that would be that will put them in at the right end of the table.
Foundation, I suppose, for doing that is keeping clean sheets, and Michael Cooper back in. It's now 2-2. Lewis Gibson is added to that sort of defensive stability, coming back in as well. I mean, how sort of impressed is probably the right word, I think. Have you sort of been about how Argyle kind of approached the last 2 matches? It was spoken about during that international break, I think, by the coaches, that they just needed to be a little bit surer, a little bit safer at the back to be able to then show what they can do going forward, and we know what they can do going forward. Yeah,
I think it's vital that you have that platform. The solidity, I think Gibson coming back in is a crucial point, as well as Mike Cooper, but we shouldn't necessarily expect that to happen instantly, even though we've had those 2 clean sheets, which is great, I think, for Mike's confidence and for the rest of the team as well. But it might take a little bit of time before they get to the stage where they really understand each other and really develop those relationships that mean every time you know, a defender goes up for a header, you know exactly that you're going to have someone covering, communication from the keeper to the rest of the team and the back 4 as well. You know, those sorts of things do take time to build up. So it's a good sign that they've been able to keep those 2 clean sheets already, and hopefully there'll be more to come, because, as you say, it's only from that basis that you can then go and win games 1-0 by breaking away and scoring a goal that Argyle have shown themselves to be good at.
You can see there the Argyle players out at Portman Road and starting their warm-ups. Kick-off is about 25, 30 minutes away. So we will bring you that one, of course, here on Argyle TV. If you haven't bought your match pass yet, then you can still do so. All of the details can be found on our website. It is a match that has been sold in some international countries and territories. So just check before you try and buy on our website. There's a full list of the overseas territories that you can stream the game from, and those match passes will cost you £10. An audio commentary pass will be £2.50, and that is how you can follow the game this afternoon. Now, one of the big stories from that win against Sheffield Wednesday on Wednesday night was the goal-scoring full debut of Mustafa Bundu. Not a bad start for him from the start for Argyle. Moose, that's not a bad first start for the club, is it? A performance like that?
No, it's not. Yeah, take that. I'll take that with a win as well. Perfect. pray for that.
What was it like? Talk me through the start of the game. We'll get to your goal obviously in a minute, but like when you were kind of warming up and then walking out, feeling this home park experience for the first time properly, I suppose.
I was excited. I got to know yesterday, obviously. The manager told me that I was going to play, so I went home, prepared myself. Today, it was I got a routine that I do every time, even if I play, if I don't play, if I'm on the bench, if I'm not on the bench. I went through that. Then most of the boys were just saying to me, keep calm, do your thing, you'll be fine. And yeah, we started a bit slow, attacking-wise. I thought they were really good in the first 25 minutes, but we came up with the important goal, and we got another goal straight after that, and then, yeah, we killed the game, really.
Let's talk about it. Whittaker and Bundu are stood over it. It's going to be Mustafa Bundu. Over the wall and in! I mean, that was an unbelievably hard hit free kick. Yeah. Could you have wished for a cleaner strike for that?
No, not really. I had to beg Moggs for it. Normally I know he's on the free kicks. I had to do it last minute as well, so he allowed me, and then I was thankful for that, and I scored. So and he got his goal as well, which was nice also for me. Yeah.
It always makes it look better when it smashes in off the crossbar as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a good feeling in front of the home crowd as well, like you said. And the most important thing, we got the win. We needed that win today. We've been going through some rough run of results, so it was a good with a victory today.
You mentioned the goal straight afterwards and Morgan getting that. How crucial was that to go in 2-0 at half-time, having been up against a really spirited Wednesday team?
No, very crucial. We were very worried about them. Obviously, we know they're at the bottom of the league, but we didn't want them to come here and get the first win against us. So that's why the first 25 minutes or so was a bit, shaky from us. But yeah, everyone stuck together. We dug in, and then we got the first goal, and then the second goal just sort of killed it. We went in, got some talks from the gaffer, came out with a different plan, and I thought in the second half we controlled everything really. We went changed the way of pressing a little bit, and we got a lot of chances from that, and they wasn't really dangerous except when they maybe kicking it long, and our defenders were brilliant today as well, dealing with everything coming towards them.
Just finally, you got your first. Hungry for more goals now?
Exactly. Yeah, another tough game coming on Saturday. Ipswich, I think they're number 1 in the league. I think number 2. Yeah, very good team. They won again today. Yeah, they haven't lost in a long time. Yeah, so we're coming. I want to be us to change that.
Fighting talk there from Moose. We're coming, Ipswich. Better believe it. What did you make of him on Wednesday, Ian?
I thought it was a great debut. I think the goal clearly is the icing on the cake. In terms of his all-round performance, I think as a striker you obviously always rely on service. And Argyle's performance, certainly in the first half, we didn't really have a great deal of the ball, so maybe he was slightly limited in his impact in that sense. But he does offer a physical presence. He offers that kind of composure, I think, on the ball, maybe the link-up play. There was a lovely little back heel that everyone enjoyed. So those little touches will endear him to the supporters. Along with that goal, if he keeps doing that, he's going to be popular.
Exactly. I saw a tweet that was something like number 15s. There's something about number 15s and scoring belting free kicks. We think of Paul Watt and Conor Grant, and Moose has added to that as well. But just on the kind of the physicality side, I suppose that is something that Ryan Hardy doesn't necessarily have in his game. So he is an alternative option, isn't he? A different sort of player.
He is, and that variety I think is key, because if you do need to make a change in a game, to have someone with different attributes, different strengths, and to allow the team to then take a slightly different approach in an attacking sense is important. And like you say, he's able to occupy defenders, I think, in a slightly different way. So obviously Ryan Hardy will threaten him behind, he'll play off shoulders, and defenders will then naturally drop off. With Bundu, he's more likely, I think, to receive the ball into his feet and into his body, and that will then allow those runners to run off him. And Argyle have got plenty of people who are enthusiastic on that front. So no, it's a good option. And although we're seeing a change again today, I think he'll no doubt have a part to play in the game.
Yeah, and just quickly as a striker, you would have felt it, the confidence of just getting a goal, and getting off and running at a new club.
Yeah, it's vital, and I think the overriding emotion from my experience, whenever you scored was relief. But when you could get into a run where you score goals regularly, in successive games or every other game, something like that, the belief that brings, to you as a player, but also the team as a whole, if they know that they've got people playing up front that will put those chances away when they create them, it's vital, and it gives you that impetus that if you are keeping a clean sheet, you've got a chance of winning games and getting 3 points. So, yeah, it was great to see, lovely to see the reaction and his enjoyment of that moment, rightly so, because it was a fantastic goal.
I don't think I'm ever going to get bored of seeing
it. Absolutely not.
I might just keep playing it and playing it. Stay with us here on Argyle TV because there's plenty more build-up to come up to this.
There's nothing like the start to a new season. The energy, the anticipation, the expectation. You know that buzz in the air. You can feel it. It's going to be our year. It's going to be different this time. It needs to be, for all of us. The emotions of the game get to us all. I know all about that. But whether out on the pitch, in the stands, or on the sidelines, we've all got to do better at all levels. No more surrounding refs, no more abuse, no more intimidation, no more discrimination. Leave the pitch to the players. And those offensive chants, you know the ones. There's never a place for them in the game we love. That beautiful feeling at the start of a new season. Don't ruin it. Let's keep it that way, together. Whether you win, lose or draw, let's make sure that this season is different. We all do it for the love of the game. Let's show our pride and passion in the right way. We all love football, so let's protect the game.
Well, today marks the 100th game in charge of Plymouth Argyle for Stephen Schumacher. Time flies, I know. And he's doing it against one of the more familiar managers to him in the opposition dugout, in Kieran McKenna. So how does Shuey feel about taking on one of the front runners in the league this season?
Gaffer, another one of the sides that came up with us on Saturday now, Ipswich. They're flying, aren't they, at the moment? How do you approach this game?
As best as we possibly can. As you're right, the start that they've made this season is just incredible for a newly promoted team to, I've just read that, got the second highest points tally ever behind Leicester this season. It's a brilliant achievement, and credit to them. We knew how good they were last season. They play some unbelievable football. They were good on both sides of the ball, and they've carried that momentum into this season. So, yeah, it's going to be a really tough game.
Are you, and your coaching team, are you surprised at just how well they have done, or did you kind of see this sort of thing coming from them?
We knew how good they were last season. I can't say I'm too surprised. Obviously, the points tally, I think they would probably be surprised that they've got that many actual points, but the way they've played, I can't say I'm too surprised, because they're playing it virtually exactly the same way. They've got a very similar squad, couple of additions, couple of lads that they bought this season who haven't managed to get into the team yet. That just shows how strong their team was last season. We knew they virtually had championship players all over the pitch last year. So maybe it highlights actually how well we did to stay above them and fight them off for as long as we did last season. So no, I'm not too surprised. They've obviously got a brilliant manager and a good group of lads, and the crowd are incredible at Portman Road as well. So yeah, it's a good club and they're going in the right direction.
Over the last couple of seasons, we've had really close games against them. Every single one of them, I think, has been tight and kind of right down to the end of the match as well. If you think of the game here, if you think of Barley's goal up there, would you expect a similar sort of game to what we've seen between us two recently?
I hope so, because if that is the case, then we're in with a chance. So that's what we've got to do. We've got to go and work hard off the ball, try and cause them a problem where we can when we've got it, and stay in the game for as long as possible. At the moment, as you said, they're flying, so we need to be at it, but also not be scared of it. We know the way we play, we can cause them a problem. They didn't have any easy games against us last season. As you said, they were both really tight, but if we play as well as we can possibly play, then we've got a shot.
And obviously coming into it, a couple games unbeaten, good point on the road a week ago, the victory on Wednesday as well. So it must be in a good place at the moment, the squad.
Yeah, definitely. And coming off the back of 2 clean sheets is important. We know we're going to have to be really defensively well organised, but we've been playing well, as I've said, nearly every press conference. We've been playing well with the majority of the season. Some of our attacking play has been good. Our defensive work over the last few games has been better. So if we can put that together, put on a whole performance, then as I say, we've got a chance of getting a result, and that's what it's going to take. It's going to take everybody at the top of the game, and that was no different to what it was last season. It's the same this year, and we go there with belief.
Just finally, you probably know this, but it'll be your 100th game in charge as well of the club. Well, there you go. So not a bad place to do it. I suppose we can't really kind of look back over the 100 games yet because it hasn't happened. But it's a nice milestone to get to, isn't it?
It's a brilliant milestone. I didn't know that. No, that surprised me. Yeah, that's brilliant, and hopefully we can go and put in a good performance and get a result from the game. If we do that, I'd say it's been a decent start.
100 games in charge, get on, from Stephen Schumacher. I am shocked he didn't know that. I don't know whether he was just playing up to the camera or not, because he seems to have every single base covered, as does Kieran McKenna, and he spoke about the fact that Argyle finished above Ipswich last season, probably showed how good Argyle were this year, and I suppose it's no surprise that Ipswich have done better, obviously, but both these sides, young, kind of talented managers that know how they want to play, lots of continuity in there, we kind of touched on it earlier, are doing okay in the league above. Absolutely fine, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it perhaps shows that sometimes that togetherness and the continuity of an approach is as much valuable as spending loads and loads of money and millions of pounds. Now we know that there are clubs in this division with huge resources for various reasons that is going to stand them in good stead and put them in with a good chance. But clubs like Argyle, I think, are going to rely on that, the team spirit, the togetherness, the coaching, the tactical approach that clearly, as you say, both these managers are, first of all, they're interested in it, and second of all, they seem to be, the care they take along with their coaching teams to prepare their squads for whoever they're up against, but also in the approach their sides take. They have that. Each side has an identity. You can talk about how they play in a consistent style, from last season to this, and so yeah, that I think shows you both of these coaches are going to be sought after by bigger clubs somewhere down the road, and we just hope, I think, that that's as long a way as possible for Argyle's sake.
At least another 100 games. I'm praying for.
That'd be good.
It is 100 games has crept up on me, to be honest. He's coming up to 2 years in charge, and maybe you think 2 years is about 50 games, isn't it? So it does make sense, but that has come around a lot quicker than I maybe imagined.
Yeah.
That much.
Am I right to say MK Dons Away was his first?
Yeah.
I vividly remember
December.
seeing the kind of pre-match interview on Sky where he looked like this is not meant to sound derogatory in any sense, that he couldn't believe his luck, but he was so happy and so pleased to be given the opportunity. He didn't stop smiling all the way through that interview, and I think we've seen lots of that in those 100 games, and I think that's rubbed off on not just the team but the club as a whole. That positivity, but the care and the passion for Argyle as a club has been a kind of a cornerstone of his approach, I think, and yeah, long may it continue.
And also, as maybe it doesn't necessarily affect the players, but the way that a manager does sort of conduct themselves and show themselves in public, and the way that Shuey does, for example, it is a big part nowadays of being a manager, whether you like it or not, really, isn't it? That public fronting persona.
I think it's huge, and will have been a big reason why certain players chose to come here in the summer and had the confidence to commit themselves to Argyle as a club. They rightly were overtures towards Stephen Schumacher last season from perhaps a number of clubs. He showed that commitment to Argyle, at this point in time, and I think that as you say, rubs off on players, helps them to make that decision. They're confident that the person they're signing for is going to be around for a long time to come, and that gives them the confidence and the psychological security, I think, to perform to their best. And I think that Argyle have reaped the rewards of that for a number of players so far this year.
Well, it is a season of firsts for many at Argyle. Not for Kane Kesler-Hayden, because he has played in the Championship before, but for a number of others, it is the first time being able to play at this level. One of those in particular is Adam Randall, who just a couple of years ago made his first league start for Argyle against Ipswich in a League One fixture. Now, a couple of years on, he is pretty much a regular in the Argyle first team.
We obviously didn't play to our best, we don't feel, but we managed to get the result in the end, which is the most important thing. We've also been performing better than that throughout the season, so hopefully we can get back up to those levels from tomorrow onwards. But yeah, it's going to be a challenge for us, but no, we're looking forward to it.
We said it a lot last season about trying to put sequences of results together, and if you take the draw at West Brom, the win at Home Park on Wednesday, if there is a little sequence you can see in this league already, you can start shooting up the table.
Yeah, definitely. It's obviously a very competitive league. Everyone's quite close together, so if we can pick up multiple results sort of in a row, then it'll help fire us up. Obviously, even one win can shift you up a few places, so hopefully we keep doing that and keep pushing up.
We spoke to you before the Southampton game, and that was right at the start of our Championship campaign. We are now 13 matches in, so you, personally,
yes,
are you feeling a Championship player at the moment?
I'd be lying if I said yes. I think there's still obviously a lot of work for me to do personally. I want to become more consistent within my performances. I think that's the main target for me at the moment. I want to be a reliable player who is going to play well on the day at this level, and that's going to take some work from myself. And it's going to take a bit of time, but I'm working towards that, and I'll be working hard to make sure that I can make that a reality.
What have you found have been like the differences from being a League One midfielder to being a Championship midfielder?
I think physically it's a lot different. It's a lot tougher, a lot more running and faster running. It takes it out of you definitely, but it's enjoyable, and I like putting myself up against better players. Obviously I want to see what level I can get to and who I can compete against. So to be playing at this level at the moment is a really good challenge for me, and hopefully I can keep pushing on.
And just finally on the game on Saturday, if we were to get a result and make it 3 unbeaten in this little block, or even get a win, what would that do you think, considering how well they've started this season? Yeah,
obviously that would give us a big boost. To be playing against one of the teams that are at the top of the table at the moment, and to get a result against them would be really good. So that's exactly what we want to do. But at the same time, we won't get carried away. One result obviously doesn't make a season, so we need to keep our heads down and keep working over the full 46 games and make sure that come the end of the year, that's we're in the right place.
What if he says he doesn't quite feel like a Championship player yet, Ian? But what would you say?
I think firstly that honestly that Adam kind of is refreshing, isn't it? There's no semblance that he's thinking there about what the appropriate answer is. I think he's speaking what he feels there, and yeah, I understand what he means, and knowing Adam reasonably well from his time at the academy, and I think it doesn't surprise me that that's his answer, because he'll be looking for the next thing. But at the same time, I think he should be incredibly, satisfied with how he's done so far in terms of stepping up to this level. And I think there's more to come from him, and I think he feels that, and I think the fans sense that as well. And I think the manager has the expectation of him, because he's shown that ability, and he mentioned consistency there as being perhaps the key thing for him to try and get into his game, and to ensure that every game he's setting that really high standard, on the ball and off the ball, and that can be key to his development. Yeah,
it is, I suppose, quite easy to forget, because he has been a mainstay for pretty much the last 2 seasons, really, I suppose. He's closing in on 100 games as well at the club, but he is only 23, I think, now, so young still. And this is his first. He's played 13 matches in the Championship. That's it. Like it is still learning for him, isn't it?
Definitely is, and I think the game as a whole perhaps has changed in recent years, where you don't see as many 17, 18-year-olds becoming established in teams as I think you used to, and so for him to be closing in on 100 games at his age is a huge achievement, particularly given the success that Argyle have had. So it's hard to break into a side that's successful, but he's, as you say, he's broken in and established himself. And I think, you know, from what I've seen over the last couple of seasons, Argyle are a better team when Adam's playing in that midfield. Again, whether that's in a slightly more advanced role where he's got more license to be creative, or whether it's in that holding role that we might see him in today.
Yeah, and I think that's a real massive thing for him in being able to be so kind of consistently picked and what have you, is because he has that versatility. He can play as a sitter, which we imagine he'll do today, but he has the energy to get forward, has the technique to get shots off. We've seen a couple of goals from him already this season. Yeah, my memory of him as a young player in the academy was always he wanted to influence the game. Yeah. You know, he wanted to make things happen, and I think obviously being in central midfield gives him that opportunity. But his time on loan at Torquay, I think he was predominantly used as a wide right player there. So you know, that game understanding, again, he's an intelligent player. He's a great learner. He understands the game tactically, and whatever role he's asked to play, he'll certainly give it his best shot, and generally that will be a pretty good showing most of the time. As you can see, the players still out on their warm-ups. We've got 20 minutes to go until kick-off. The countdown continues, and we will be continuing our build-up after this.
Let's get it pumping, I'm looking away. Go tell mother I'm cooking the game. Flow like water bubbling up where you want me to make. Taking you back in the day, feeling immaculate, mate. Action packed back to back while you yapping away. I got a knack to react, but I'm packing a grace. Up to the max with a fact, let me grab the space. I had a map the place, who got a laughing face? Long, long, and strong, looking like a stack full of hate. It goes on and on, way to the back of the bank. This phenomenon's on, I don't even have to say. I'm where I belong, this is not back in the, you know? I go where I wanna, a fair warning for anybody with hair on them. You can't stop me, it gets sloppy to...
Well, let's focus on the opponents for a little bit now. Ipswich Town. We've spoken about their flying start to this campaign. 31 points picked up so far after just 12 matches. Just the one loss this season, just the one loss actually since February. They also beat Premier League opposition in the Carabao Cup in Wolverhampton Wanderers a couple of weeks ago. And they've only failed to win twice so far. So what has gone so right for Kieran McKenna's men?
The challenges in the league are so variable, and you know, in general, we've probably had more teams come to Portman Road this year and try and, you know, take us on in a football match and play open and try and cause us problems, and that's led to the games being a little bit more open, certainly than what we were used to last year in terms of teams' approaches against us. So yeah, we have to be ready for everything, and we have to be good at everything. We have to be good when teams come for an open game. It's not easy. We have to try and be better at them in that phase, and if teams come and, you know, try and press us high and make it a set piece game and you know, a more of a stop-start game, then we have to deal with that. And if somebody comes and defends us low, then we have to deal with that. So yeah, we continue to try and work on, you know, being a team who are more than competent in every phase against every type of opponent, and that takes a lot of work, but it's something that, you know, it's a challenge that we enjoy.
Numbers have been pretty good recently for training. You did mention it being slightly closer, you know, the Wednesday to Saturday game, but how did the group come through that from a physical point of view?
Yeah, pretty good. I don't think any issues, so that's good, and I think we'll be stronger for the game in our legs. Hopefully, I know the turnaround's quick, but at the same time, getting the game into your legs again is important. So yeah, we've come through well. I would imagine that everyone's looking forward to getting back to Portman Road, with the last one being Preston. Yeah, it does feel like a while ago for sure. So yeah, it'd be nice to be back to, you know, a place where we love to play in front of, you know, supporters that we love to play in front of. So yeah, it's going to be nice to be home. We're going to need them again. It's, you know, it needs full push, full concentration for everyone. We can't allow it, because it's a team in the division that we were in last year to feel, you know, any different than, you know, the big challenges we've had in all the championship games and the atmosphere we've had. It's another tough game. A team who did fantastically well last year, who started the season, you know, doing a lot of good things this season again, and we're going to need the supporters with us. We're going to need the noise. We're going to need the intensity. We're going to need the patience maybe in the game, and the resilience from the players and from the crowd all together again to, you know, continue our good home form. Well, like you said, I mean, like us, they earned it last season and proved difficult opponents. They have got the same manager. I know we played Sheffield Wednesday, who also came up. How much do you look at last season's games? Not too much? Not really. Yeah, I think there's probably quite a few players on both sides who will have played in the games, and they've been pretty consistent, as we have been consistent in terms of, yeah, staffing and players wise. Tactically, they're doing some things, quite different than last year. So, will they continue on that form? Will they, adapt a little bit more for us? Who knows? We have to be prepared for both scenarios. I think in general, we know we're facing a really good team, really good manager, well coached and spirited group of players who have a lot of individual quality that we need to respect and try and stop. So, we can never predict for sure the opposition strategy. We know the type of team and type of group we're facing, and we know we're going to have to be at our best to come out on top in the game.
Kieran McKenna there speaking ahead of today's game, and Ian, it's interesting. He sort of mentions, and we touched on it a bit earlier, but he looks is so in depth at games, and he recognises that the squad is quite similar for Argyle, but there have been tweaks, and he's maybe not expecting a similar sort of game to what we had in the two fixtures last year.
No, I think we, as you say, we mentioned these are two coaches that we use the term manager, we use the term head coach. These are two people who are interested in coaching. They understand the tactical side of the game, and they're the guidance on that, the instructions from that, they will play a huge part. Both those managers in the approach the teams take. Yeah, perhaps alluding to the fact that Argyle more so than last year, where perhaps possession was a, if you like, the predominant style that Argyle were looking for. They wanted to dominate the ball in games this year. We've seen some success from a slightly more defensive approach, and then those counter attacks. And there's a couple of games where Argyle have really punished teams from those sorts of situations. So it might be that Ipswich are expecting a slightly different approach than previous games against Argyle.
Well, they were one of the top scorers in the league last year. They're the second top scorers in the league this year, heading into this weekend's games. You can see a couple of their goals here. This is Broadhead. They hit shots from range, they create things, they score from set pieces. They seem to be pretty well-rounded. Breakaway goals, a bit of everything.
Yeah, and that's I think it's going to be key for Argyle today that they're really compact and tight at the back. Don't allow opportunities, but equally are quick to react when there's a transition situation. So if Argyle are up the pitch and lose the ball, it's vital that they react quickly to that and ensure that they're organised and show good decision making in who to close down, who to mark. They've got dangerous players, and ultimately it's going to take some last ditch tackles and some saves today, probably to ensure that Ipswich don't hurt Argyle with the threat that they can offer.
Well, let's remind ourselves of the two sets of team news now, shall we? We'll start with Argyle, who have made a few changes, 3 in total from the game on Wednesday night, which saw them run out 3-0 winners. Those changes see Mikael Miller come in alongside Luke Cundall and Ryan Hardy for Joe Edwards, Jordan Houghton and Mustafa Bundu. Captain's armband will go to Dan Scarr this afternoon. I just want to have a quick word on Finn Azaz. We've spoken about the other midfielders in and around the side at the moment, but he definitely in the last couple of matches, and Mark Edworthy picked up on it actually on Wednesday night, just how influential he is now becoming.
Yeah, he's got fantastic technical ability on the ball. He can finish. He's got that close dribbling skills to shift the ball, whether it's for a pass or a shot for himself. But more than that, I think that the benefit of the relationship with the players he's playing with, the longer you play with people around you, the more used you get to their movements, where they like the ball, where they like to receive it, whether they want it back first time, whether they want it in front of them for a first-time shot, or whether they prefer it to feet. And I think we've seen Azaz in those areas just behind the forwards where sometimes those pockets of space can be difficult to come by, but I think he's good at receiving in tight areas, and in finding himself in those areas has then been able to combine with other people, to hurt the opposition. And yeah, he's been a real plus, and I think the confidence he'll get from being involved in Argyle's good play, certainly on Wednesday night, hopefully we'll see some more of that today.
Let's have a quick look at the Ipswich Town side as well. They've also made a couple of changes, one in defence with Edmondson coming in for Burgess. There you go, you can see the side there. The other one sees Amari Hutchinson come in for Caden Jackson, who drops to the bench. We spoke a lot about the bench power of Argyle last season and the fact that we can change it up this year as well, but you do look down that substitutes list for Ipswich, even with their goalkeeper Christian Walton, Harry Clark, Tuanzebe was at Man United, Taylor was signed from Peterborough, Ladapo, 20 goals. I mean, you could reel them all off. There's it's a full squad game for Ipswich, that is for sure.
It is. I think that we have to get used to that quickly at Championship level. Clubs with good resources in Ipswich, have got a long history of competing at the highest level in English football. So it's no surprise that they've got that strength in depth, and they will have been planning for this return to the Championship for a long time. So after that success of last year, it's no surprise to see that they've got that squad and have been able to retain players and add to the squad this season.
Ever getting closer to kick-off. We've just got a final bit of build-up to come, which is coming up after this. Well, let's hear a final thought from inside the Argyle camp then, shall we? Because first-team coach Kevin Nanscoville has been giving him his thoughts on the game ahead.
Nance, we're here at Portman Road. 3 changes today, I understand. Do you want to talk us through them?
Yeah, so a few changes. Mikel will come back in for Joe, Luke will come in for Jordan Hout, and then Ryan will come in for Mustafa.
Good stuff. Here at Portman Road, Ipswich have scored lots of goals. They've let a few in as well. Are you expecting a bit of a goal fest today?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but yeah, they're an exciting team. They've got off to a fantastic start in the Championship, so we're looking forward to renewing our games with them. We've had some cracking ties here in the last few years, so hopefully we get another one.
Yeah, they were both great games last year, and we got a few points from them, so hopefully more of the same. Just over your left shoulder is where the Argyle fans will be this afternoon. It's a heck of a journey getting up from Plymouth to Ipswich with all the rail replacements and all that kind of thing. A little word for them for today?
Yeah, no, we thank you. We realise how hard it is to travel and follow us all the time, and we've got unbelievable support, and we really, really do appreciate it. Hopefully we give you something to shout about today, and we have a great afternoon, but we really appreciate it and can't thank you enough.
Good luck today, Nats.
Thank you.
Valid point, actually, to mention, because it has been a real tough journey for the Argyle supporters. I mean, it always is going to Ipswich. It's not one of the closest places, let's put it that way. But the weather's not helped. There's been rail replacement services put in place. But, the players, we say it all the time, but the players and coaching staff do know how hard it is for everybody to get up to these sort of places. And they can play a part today, without a shadow of a doubt.
They can. I mean, it's awesome. I don't think it's a surprise, the support and the effort that people make, but also it's not taken for granted. I know that everyone inside the club and the team and the coaching staff, really appreciate that support, and they don't underestimate the commitment of people, giving up their Saturday, the financial commitment and the time commitment to get to Ipswich, as you say. It's fantastic, and yeah, fingers crossed, as Nance says, that they can give them something to shout about today.
Do you think they will?
I do, yeah. So they can take confidence from the last 2 games. If we can keep the game close and tight, we've got the capability to hurt teams on the break, and I think that might be the pattern that we see today.
Okay, let's just finish off by going through the other games that are taking place in the Championship then this afternoon. A couple of early kickoffs, a couple of big wins for the home sides. Leeds putting 4 past Huddersfield, and Wayne Rooney remains winless as Birmingham City manager. They were beaten 3-1, as you can see there. A couple of interesting games to look out for. Bristol City and Cardiff both trying to get back to winning ways. If they can, they face at Cardiff City Stadium today. Ryan Lowe's Preston got a creditable point against Southampton on the weekend, on midweek. They go to Hull, who are also looking to keep up the pressure at the top of the table. Argyle's next opponent's Middlesbrough, which is a side that are absolutely flying. They're looking for win number 7 in a row, and they go to Stoke, who've won their last couple. And if QPR, who've struggled this season, were to pull off a shock against Leicester, of course Ipswich Town will be looking to profit from that. We will have to wait and see how these ones go, though, and we will keep you up to date with everything that is happening in the division this afternoon. But that is pretty much it from us here on the Pre-Match Show on Argyle TV. A reminder that you can follow the game live with us all afternoon. An audio match pass will cost you just £2.50. Video streaming pass will be £10. Do, though, check where you can watch the game from, because It is a game that has been sold to international rights, so the likes of America and Australia, unfortunately, you won't be able to see the game. But there is a full list of countries where you can see the game live on Argyle TV, which is coming up next. Argyle against Ipswich Town. Rivalries renewed. Carl Duguid and Harry Salvage are standing by for commentary, and the game is coming up next.
The away day. A shared passion